Welcome, everybody. John Zager. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Pretty nice day in Colorado here. Overcast a little bit. Looks like it's kind of breaking off. What is it, 37? So it's pretty warm. I have the truck running this morning with a little bit of heat, so I hope you can't hear that in the background. I'll shut it off here in a minute. But I don't know. I guess I just decided to turn it on. I got my cup of coffee and everything's good. You know what? Today I'm doing my podcast in front of a community garden here in one of the centrally located parks in the city where I live. And I'm looking in front of me, and seems like there's, I don't know, maybe a dozen people that have little tiny plots where they're starting to do their planting already. This lady's already, no, that can't be. Yeah, there's onions already growing there. Huh. Well, anyway, good morning. I'll shut off the truck so it doesn't make any noise. But I had a couple different thoughts about what to talk about today, but in my daily goings on, what I've been doing for the past quite a few years since I've been out of clinical psychology is I do research, psychology, neuroscience, self-healing, things like that. You guys all know that. That's kind of what I do. I just do research, and then I do workshops, and then I lecture, and I speak, and do consultation, coaching. I do all that kind of stuff. But I'm constantly working on my research so that what I present to you guys is science. It's not, some imaginary outcomes to things. And I interview people. I ask them, of course, can I interview you and, use your information for the research that I do in neuroscience? And most everybody says, yeah, sure, go ahead. And I've been running across pretty much the same thing, which appears to be somewhat negative. I've talked about this a lot in the last, month or two. It's just that, I don't know, regular traditional medicine seems to work just fine, doesn't it? I don't know if you're saying thoughts can change your biology. I don't know. I don't understand that. So when I run across an interview with a person that is totally opposite that, it's rare. And that's what I want to talk about this morning. I interviewed a young woman, recently, and I have known her off and on for since probably midwinter. And she works in somewhat of a stressful environment, yeah? And when I first met her, I just casually, for conversation purposes, said, how do you like doing what you're doing? And I don't remember the exact words, but it was like easy. Oh, this is easy peasy. This is nothing. This is like I just enjoy doing this. It's it's uncomplicated. It's unstressful. It's a pleasure to be here. Those kinds of responses I don't remember the exact words she used, but that's basically what she was saying to me. And I observed her since midwinter, off and on, and she lives that attitude because she is in a stressful environment, and her work is stressful, and yet every time I encounter her, her attitude is, what a pleasure doing this job. It's just a pleasure. You know, it's that sort of thing, right? So I had an opportunity to ask her if I could interview her, you know, for the neuroscience because of the reason of her attitude. And she agreed to it. And I sat down and interviewed her, and I explained to her, you know, I don't hear a lot of people with your attitude in stressful environments. And she says, yeah, I'm kind of aware of that. And I said, where do you think yours came from? You're so positive, and you know, she's not, her upbeat, smiling, happy, laughing sort of outlook on life is sincere and honest. And I said, where do you think, you know, you might have picked that up at? Do you remember anything where it began? And she thought for a while, and she says, well, it's my background. And, you know, I had to raise my sibs. I think she said siblings. I had to raise my siblings by myself. And I didn't really get into, you know, the mom and dad thing. I didn't really want to go there. I might in a follow-up interview, but in this first interview, I just let her talk. And she talked about, you know, her siblings, and she being older, and she had to raise them. And she said I had a choice. I had a choice to look at that assignment. I had a choice to look at it as raising my siblings as cumbersome, difficult. She could have felt, you know, angry and upset, and, you know, just all the negative connotations that might go with a young girl raising her siblings on her own way before, you know, she's an adult. So she said I had to grow up really early, you know. Of course she did. She became responsible. She became the parent, and she had to care for and make sure everybody was safe and well taken care of. And she said that's probably where it came from. And I said, yeah, okay. And then I went on to say, you know, there's probably something before that. Someone, somewhere, probably gave you a belief that life is not difficult. Issues do not have to be difficult. The least amount of resistance that we can have, the happier we are. I said, somebody probably gave you a belief or a script that said something like that. That said, whatever life throws at me, I'm fine. I can handle it. Not because I want to handle it, but because I understand I'll get through it. And it doesn't create a reason for me to fight back. There's no reason for me to fight back to it. But she couldn't really think of a person or event or someone that might have given her that belief system. She couldn't quite pull that out. And that's okay. That's okay. I mean, hopefully I'll get a second interview at some point with her, and maybe she'll have some time to think about it, and she'll be able to say who that was. I asked her another question. I said, what problems or issues do you have? Or have you had? Right? So I'm asking both in the past and in the present, are there some areas in her life that are difficult or problems? And she thought, I don't know, seemed like she took, maybe a half a minute, which is pretty long in a conversation, and she said, I got nothing. I don't have any problems in my life. I don't have any issues in my life. And she's got one daughter of her own. She's not married. I don't think it really matters, but she's minority. The other thing that's interesting is that she clearly is from, how do I say this? Kind of a street background. She has tats. She kind of, how would I say this? Not traditional relationship. And a lot of that stuff indicates to me that she had to find an identity. Obviously, mom and dad weren't around. And she had to acquire an identity of her own, and it kind of led her down maybe that path for a while. But she couldn't put her finger on any issues or problems in the past or present. Now, she could have said, when I was a little girl, my mom and dad weren't there. And whether she wanted to talk about why or why not, that would have been her own deal. But, she could have said, anybody else that I would have been interviewing would have said, I never had a mom and dad the first, I don't know, 6 years of my life or something. And I had to take care of my sibs on my own. That's a huge problem. Whew. It's just when she looks back on it now, it was like, just something I did. It's just what was going on at the time, and I took care of it. And I asked her about her relationship with her daughter, and, the attitude was, my daughter just kind of takes care of herself. She's really self-reliant and successful and happy, and how could she not be with her mom modeling all these beliefs that she has about how good life is, when it may not look real good, right? So she's got this great relationship with her daughter. Daughter doesn't cause her any problems, and most mothers, I would think, I don't know, I really don't know, but I would think, a lot of mothers would talk about their daughters and the changes that they go through, and the difficulty in raising a daughter. I don't know. I would think that would be a normal conversation, but with her it's like, she's just real good. She's just real happy. She takes care of herself, and I'm just so pleased to be her mother. And I'm sure the daughter's saying, I'm so pleased to have her as my mother. So, it was a really good interview. Not a long interview, but it was good. We got into a lot of other stuff, but here's the part that you guys will be fascinated with. I was, anyway. I said, so who do you go to? Who do you model after? Who do you look up to? You offer, this is me talking, you offer so much love and support and happiness and to people, both that you work with. I mean, that's all that I can see. And your daughter, of course, right? Who do you look up to? Where do you go when you need support? When you need some encouragement? When you need some love? When you need someone? Who do you go to? Because, everybody's got, a husband or a wife or a brother or a sister, a dear friend, or who knows, somebody they just admire and can talk to or whatever. Or you pay and you go to therapy. I don't know. But she said, and she thought about this again. Seemed like for a half a minute. And she said, I don't have anyone. And she was thoughtful in her response. It wasn't like she was, trying to say stuff to sway the result. She just honestly doesn't have someone. Currently not in a relationship, so, there's no one there. Mom and Dad are probably gone for whatever reason. I don't know. They may have died. I mean, I have no idea. I'm going to find that out. And she has the siblings, but doesn't sound like she She may interact with them very, very well, but they may not be the people that support her because they look to her for support. You know, she has become their mom. I thought that was interesting that she has nobody that she looks up to. So here's conclusion. Conclusion is probably just what you're thinking is what I'm thinking, but we go through life and we put up and offer resistance. Now, you guys can agree or disagree. I mean, I don't know your lives, so this is just my spin on this research interview I did. And I believe that we put up more resistance than we need to. Right? I believe as people in general, have more problems and issues than we really do. And I'm not quite sure that they're as big as we imagine them to be. I think, what's the word? We exacerbate the size of our problems. And here's the other thing I come up with, is that I don't think we realize, I think this young lady, this young woman, I think subconsciously she views herself as supernatural. She's powerful. She has abilities greater than she could have imagined at one time. I don't think people out there, generally speaking, realize they're supernatural. They have abilities far greater than they can imagine. We get in our own way. We get up in the morning, and again, this is just research that I do with people and observations and interviews and all that kind of stuff. You know, we get up in the morning and the day sometimes might seem a little cumbersome. What I have to accomplish or overcome or, you know, get done today. I don't think this young woman gets up in the morning and even entertains that thought. I didn't ask her. I will. But I think she just sees her day as a good day. She's looking forward to it. She's excited about it. She's happy to be doing it. So I'm sitting out here in this park, and of course we have a ton of Canadian geese that reside here in our town, and they migrate south and then north in the spring. But, you know, they mate for life. And if the one gets, I don't know, shot or killed by some hunter, the other one is left without their mate. Think about this. Follow me on this for a minute. I'm not just babbling right now. I'm looking at this one Canada goose. We'll call it a he. And he's just out here by himself. And he's taking care of his own business and eating some grass and near some water he can drink, and he beds down. And there's other Canada geese over here that are paired up, and they're paired up for life. I don't know whether they've been paired up for a year or 8 years together. I don't know. They all fly synchronized too. That's beside the point. But he's learned that this is what life has dealt him. We're going to say some hunter shot his mate. I don't know. But he's gone on to just live his life. He doesn't look overly stressed out. He looks pretty relaxed. So, how do you live your life? Are you in your own way? Are you able to go through your day without resistance? Are you able to reach a mentality of no problems, Mann? That's kind of a big deal, right? I asked this young woman, I said something, I wanted to find out about her physical health and emotional health. And I sort of asked some questions probing around, if she had any physical issues or emotional issues in her life or now. And she said no. She actually said, I'm actually very, very healthy. I have no reason to disbelieve her with that attitude that she has. She is probably up-regulating so many healthy genes all day long. Her immune system is probably solid steel. I'm exaggerating to make a point. She probably, I don't know her that well, but probably there's not a disease tracking her down. How else do they say it? She's probably the wealthiest person in the world. Exaggeration to make a point. But wealth is and success is not measured in dollars, so to speak, right? Does she have a highly prominent job? I don't know. Probably not. Is she happy? Yes. Is she successful? Yes. Do you think she's a person that's going to end up getting sick? I hope not, but probably not. She's probably going to go on and just live a healthy life, physically, emotionally. We didn't talk about belief systems in spiritual terms, but what a cool place to be. So anyway, you guys, food for some thought. Food for thought. maybe digest that today and see if any of it can apply to you and if you would like it to. We all have the choice. This is a rare exception of a person that we talk about. She just has figured out how to work a program of her own. And I just think it was worth passing that information on to you. As I get a chance to interview her again in the future, I'll come back with the podcast and talk about it some more. But, I'm always kind of talking about how we have these negative tendencies, and I'm just saying, let's maybe look at some of these people that have the positive tendencies and they have a good life, and how can we learn and grow from that. So I hope you all have a great day. God bless everybody, and I look forward to talking to everybody else out there real soon. See you all. Bye.